Imagine starting a YouTube channel and earning money from traveling the world.
Welcome to Budapest, Florence, Munich, Vienna, Barcelona.
We love to travel anyway, so we slowly built our lives to allow that. And then the business side came in. We kind of launched this thing and we're able to launch it into actually an income stream. A lot of people in this travel niche within content creation, they are full-time travelers. Well, that's just not the reality for the majority, 99% of the population.
We definitely still want to keep our feet planted in our jobs.
You said you have like 14 income streams. If you were to break down a pie chart and even where this creator career is being funded, how does it all break down? Imagine starting a YouTube channel and earning money from traveling the world. In this episode of the Think Media podcast, we're going to be talking to a couple who are part-time, non-remote YouTube travelers. They're going to be talking about the side hustle season, having a day job, and the transition into going full-time as a creator, how to create multiple streams of income, the ups and downs of the journey of building your brand, and their best tips for how to get views, how to build your YouTube channel, and even how to distribute your content around multiple different social media platforms when it comes to being travel vloggers on YouTube. Now, today's episode is brought to you in part by Graybox Studios, which is a professional recording studio in Nashville, Tennessee, ran by Cody Hunter. My friend Zach Ford actually connected us, and this has been such a cool experience getting to be here. So if you're ever in Nashville looking for photo, video, audio, wanting to do some recording, that's where we're filming right now. And so you can check that out in the show notes. But I want to welcome Matt and Nat from Adventures with Matt and Nat to the podcast. How's it going?
Doing well. Thanks for having us,
Yeah,
Sean.
thank you. We're so excited. We've watched all of your things and we're just so happy to be here.
Yeah, you're my regular download your podcast. That's what I listen to on airplanes when I travel. So,
well, I appreciate that. And I'm so glad we got to connect and we had kind of a gap today. So here we are on the show. I want to get into kind of a little bit of backstory and whatnot, but give me each of your best tip for right off the bat. If somebody was like, I want to be a travel YouTuber or travel content creator, what would be just one quick tip to kick it off?
For me, it would probably be, I know it's so cheesy, but niching down. But even more than that, having a story that people can join you on. So we started ours with 50 states in a year as part-time non-remote. And it was just something either we failed to do at the end of it and people would be along on that journey for that, or we actually succeed and people could join us in on that adventure. So niching down and having a story.
Yeah, I always say that people either joined in to watch us succeed or fail, and I didn't care which one, as long as they were joining and watching.
What's another tip for you?
For me, it would be being authentic. What's your why? I know that can sound cliche. We hear that across so many different industries, but what is your why really? People can see through inauthenticity these days. So if your why is just to make a bunch of money doing YouTube, one, you'll probably quit before you ever make a dime, and then two, people will be able to see through that inauthenticity. So do what you love. Like we started because we love travel and love helping people travel and travel better. So I would say that's a big one for us.
Man, I love that. And I want to hear a little bit about your story. I mean, we were just debriefing, and towards the end of the episode, we'll talk about, or pre-briefing, I should say. Towards the end of the episode, we'll talk about some of your income streams and whatnot. But over a couple years, you've been building up to making great money doing this, but you still have some jobs that you're a part of. So a couple things to define your backstory. What do you mean when you say part-time, non-remote traveling couple? What does that mean?
Well, we're a travel couple. We been married since 2017. And then you want to do the part-time non-remote?
So part-time, many times in this space, in the travel vlogging couple world, these people are traveling full-time. That's their full-time job, or they're actually on the road full-time. They don't have a home base. For us, we have a home base, so we're not on the road full-time. And especially when we first started this, we very much had other jobs that required us to be back on a weekly basis. So we were very much part-time in that sense and non-remote in that sense as well. It's like
we had to be back to Nashville.
Our jobs were not remote in the slightest. We had to be back in Nashville to work those jobs. That kind of is the short, I think, overview of what part-time non-remote traveling is.
Yeah, I love that. And what's kind of cool is you have built this up as a side hustle. And that's where, of course, everyone's going to start. They've got their day job right now, and they're maybe thinking about, I want to travel. I want to also balance my bills. Money's not really coming in on this early journey on YouTube. In fact, on this early journey, I might be buying the camera and I'm buying airline tickets, and it's fun, but it's going to be a cost. Speak to that side hustle season. What was your experience, and what would be some advice for like those real gritty early days of like, man, we're going to start spending money on tickets and laptops and computer or cameras, and build this up while we've got day jobs?
Yeah. So I'm a big proponent of you don't ever find success by dipping your toe in the water. You don't really get to the luxury of testing the waters out and see if it's going to be successful. So we dove in head first. We had some money put back in savings, but we were like, okay, the money's just sitting there. We can let it sit there and we can let it be our little cushion, our safety cushion. And we, still had some for that as well, but not being irresponsible. But we also knew we wanted to do this thing. So we decided to take some of that money and invest it into ourselves. I had a friend early on, this kind of a mentor, and he was talking about if you're not willing to invest in yourself, why do you think anyone else ever will? So that kind of struck a chord with us. So that was kind of when we decided, you know what, maybe we need to dive into this thing head first, take this little bit of money we had, put into it. But on top of that money, we also had other jobs.
We did have other jobs, but also too, I think budgeting was a really big factor. He's really great with money. We didn't start with the best cameras. We upgraded to those. We started with a point and shoot camera. I think we spent $800.
Yeah, $800 on Facebook Marketplace.
And we grew our channel for that whole first year and a half with that point and shoot camera.
Yeah, I think
we had a good microphone because audio we think is super important coming from like the music entertainment industry. But yeah, I think just making sure that you're putting those priorities in the right things. Like if you only have this amount of money or time, making sure you're using that for the things that will bring the most ROI.
I'm one of those guys, I can get into the gear, go down the rabbit hole of gear and feel like I need the best of everything, and realizing, and not realizing sometimes that while that is important, it is not the most important. Putting thought into the content, putting thought into what the story you're telling and bringing value to people is more important than if you're shooting in, 4K, the greatest resolution, cameras, all that. So yeah, we started with the $800 point and shoot off Facebook Marketplace.
And I think just starting is a big thing. Yeah. Just starting, putting it out there, you're going to learn. Looking back on our old videos, I cringe. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we started there, but you have to start somewhere. I think the time aspect, especially for a side hustle, is the most important. We didn't really have a lot of lives, right? Extra life in that first year and a half for sure. Yeah. Because we were just so committed to making this work.
Yep, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So getting a clear vision, we're going to work our jobs because that's going to sustain us. But we're also going to build this. So we're going to put some boundaries up to get this thing launched. And it was like dedicated focus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thankfully, people always ask like, how do you travel so much? How do you do this? And it wasn't like an overnight thing that we decided was going to happen. Like we slowly built our lives around, we love to travel anyway. So we slowly built our lives to like allow that. And then the business side came in when COVID hit, we kind of launched this thing and we're able to launch it into actually an income stream, ways down the road. But that was a big part of it, was like, we just hustled. We knew we had to have these other jobs, like you said, and we had flexible enough jobs. I only had to work most of the times on weekends. Natalie could work her job mostly part-time on weekends. And we made sure, our jobs worked in the travel space. She works for an airline for a reason,
Those flight benefits,
we haven't talked about that yet.
That's strategic.
Haven't talked about it yet, but that, that was a strategy going into it. It wasn't just like, oh, we need a job, let's go get a part-time job at an airline. It was like, need a job. We love travel, and airline work comes with great travel benefits. So
That's incredible. And so talk about the growth curve, the milestones along the way. When did you post the first video? If you can remember, around 1,000 subscribers, and maybe how many videos? You're at 87,000 subscribers now and posting on multiple channels. But yeah, what was the journey of how long it took to get it all going?
Well, obviously we started from zero when we started in, I think we launched July 1st. It was like a soft launch. Mm-hmm. I, again, had never edited any YouTube video in my life before this. So that first 6 months was really just me learning the program, how to edit, how to even film, what shutter rate was and frame rate and all of those things. So it was a lot of learning during that period of time. I think we put out 3 videos maybe. in that
2 to 3 videos in the first 6 months of that soft launch.
And we did Seattle and we did Vegas.
And what year?
2020.
2020,
Yep.
very
Right at the
end of the year,
end.
when things had just opened back up.
Like Vegas was completely dead and empty. It was wild. But that video is one that really took our watch hours over the top for us to where
So coming out of that, our soft launch, we launched 2021 with 50 states in a year, kind of made that our whole story for that upcoming year. Posted our first video from that series January, second week of January. We had somewhere around 200 subscribers at that point. And by middle of February, a month and a half, I think it was, we had hit the 1,000 subscriber mark. We were very much not prepared to reach the 1,000 subscriber mark at that point.
We were in our minds just starting the business. We were like, okay, hopefully by August or September, we'll have 1,000 subscribers. And so it was really exciting that we got it beforehand. But I think just having those realistic goals helps with the disappointment, you know?
Yeah. But that first video that we would kind of consider I know we had a couple other videos, but kind of what we consider the launch of Adventures of Matt and Nat YouTube channel was that second week of January. And by the end of February, we're monetized. And that was kind of the first milestone, obviously. And then it's just been kind of that for us, consistent, steady growth from there.
Yeah, that was quick to get monetized. When was then the first time you feel like you got to $1,000 a month or something like that?
Let's see. That would have probably been, I think that would have been about roughly a year later, maybe 10 months to a year later without looking at the analytics. I think it was right around that and that's January or so the next year.
Had you added multiple streams of income or like $1,000 a month in ad revenue?
Yeah, we had.
That was just ad revenue.
Yeah, that was just ad revenues. So we'd had other income streams, but they were so minuscule at that point. You know, affiliate income seemed like something that wasn't even worth the effort at the time, but we just kind of tried to stay consistent with it. And
that's another tip I would give anyone that's starting out is start with affiliate income. Right now, even though it's going to be pennies on the dollar, it's going to snowball at some point. And we regret that we didn't start it earlier.
Yeah, because we
really push it earlier than we.
Yeah, because it was easy to be like, we don't have time or we don't want to add that in. It's not a big deal. That'll equal 50 cents next month. Big deal, whatever. And now, it's like, I wish we had started that earlier. But thankfully we have seen the pickup from that. But yeah, it was about the year-ish mark after monetization.
That's such a great reality check though, too, to your point, like dedicated to it, committed to it, going way more negative. Now getting to travel, but you're spending your main business or your main job's income to grow this thing. And $1,000 is a huge milestone, but it doesn't replace, it didn't start paying your bills or anything.
No, the travel niche in YouTube is not an inexpensive niche. It's an expensive one for the most part. So yeah, 1,000 was not like you said, it's a huge milestone and we were ecstatic about it. But at the end of the day, if you break down the numbers, it was like, all right, we're not losing as much money.
We're not losing as much money. That's so good. And so with that then, when did you kind of cross this idea of like, wow, this is going well, and speak to the now season? Because one of the coolest things you're doing is like, you're saying we're making good money now. We're also keeping our feet planted in our day job still.
We still look at each other and we're like, it's working. This is so exciting. It's working. And I feel like even 10 years from now, we're going to be like, wow, it's working. This is so cool. But yeah, we definitely still want to keep our feet planted in our jobs. I think it is really realistic for people because we're hoping to inspire other people to travel, even if they do have a job. So we kind of want to still obviously have that home base where we can have jobs. Yeah,
because like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people in this travel niche within content creation, they are full-time travelers. Well, that's just not the reality for
the majority.
99% of the population. Many people do love their corporate jobs, but they also love travel. So we wanted to encourage people to travel on the weekends, travel when they have whatever little amount of time they have, So that was a big inspiration for us on it.
And our jobs are still really flexible. So we're just going to try and keep them as long as we possibly can.
Yeah. But I would say like to the other part of your question, like when we kind of felt like, okay, this is like we can actually make this a full-time income kind of thing. And I would say one of the first, obviously a big milestone for us was hitting that 10,000 subscriber mark. And while yes, that's it is a vanity number, as you know, it is, but it's not, depending on how you're talking about it. But by the end of our first year, we'd hit the 10,000 subscriber mark. So end of 2021. So that was a big milestone for us. Mm-hmm. And that was around the time we were seeing that $1,000 a month AdSense come in. So that was like, okay, this is working. But I would say so that was the end of year one. I would say going into year 3 was when we really were like seeing like, okay, this is like paying bills at this point, and actually seeing a profit. And that was when we started seeing that snowball effect happen a little more exponentially at that point. And now we're into year 4 now. So we're about a year and a half into that, finally feeling like we know anything about what we're doing.
Yeah, man, that's so cool. And it's inspiring to hear about the grit and time that it takes to really make this viable. Tell me a little bit about your opinion between going viral and slow and steady growth and your experience with that.
So we did go viral on like a short form piece of content on TikTok in particular. And we got about, I don't remember, 2.5 million views or something. So it helped with the PR. We got featured on BuzzFeed, Good Morning America, NBC, a bunch of other
Daily Mail, a bunch of other.
Yeah.
What was the piece of content?
So it was actually just me as an airline employee giving tips and tricks for flying. Because at that part in time, there was a lot of cancellations happening. And I get the same questions over and over and over again at the airport. So I was just trying to give value in a different way. But it also didn't translate really well into Adventures of Matt and Nat. It was more of just me. People wanted to interview me and I was like, but this is our thing. But it also, yeah.
And the funny thing about that one piece of content is that we posted it on TikTok one night because TikTok, like we had like 100 followers or something. We were like, we'll post it there. That'll be kind of the testing ground. See if it does anything. If it does anything, we'll then post it to Instagram and YouTube Shorts, which are more, our platforms. We woke up the next morning with 780,000 views on it. And we're like, oh crap. We didn't even like that. It was honestly, it felt more like an Instagram story quality kind of thing. Like it was, we have the different tiers of what we consider like, oh, that's not reel worthy or long form worthy. That's more of like a story. And it was more in that line for us. So we were shocked. So yeah. So we ended up, it ended up kind of taking over our lives for about 2 weeks with just the emails and phone calls and all that. But at the end of the day, yes, it got us views, it got us PR, but in my opinion, slow and steady helps grow a community of people that actually support you, actually believe in you, actually encourage you. And viral content gives you that flash in the pan. It gets you the notoriety. Maybe it looks good on a website, being able to say, as seen on Good Morning America or as seen on these things. That's all fine and well, but at the end of the day, the community is what really keeps us going from month to month. That one piece of content, it's there and gone in no time.
I think there's a place for both of them.
For sure.
But our main concern and focus is the building community and having people wanting to go on group trips with us, supporting us on Patreon, signed up to our newsletter, like really having that community aspect is something that we truly focus a lot on.
Yeah, because on top of that community being willing to watch whatever piece of content you put out, they're also willing, like Natalie said, to spend their hard-earned money to go travel to another country on a group trip with you. They're willing to support you monthly on a Patreon, Patreon account. Mm-hmm. So it's like those.
Or if we have a brand deal,
yeah,
and we really, we don't do brand deals that we don't truly believe in a product, they're the ones that are purchasing those products. So that's what's really important to us. Is
having community builds not just like a subscriber number. Mm-hmm. It translates to so many other platforms, mm-hmm. And so we feel like that's a huge part of that slow and steady growth is you actually get to connect with your people and truly build a community.
That's so strong. Community is more powerful than virality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And going viral is cool, but what is the sustainability of everything? Hey, we're about to get back into the podcast in just a second, but I have a question for you. Do you want to grow your personal brand this year? Do you need more leads and sales in your business? If the answer is yes, then right now is the best time to go all in on YouTube. Today's podcast is brought to you by thinkmasterclass.com, where you can get on-demand access to a 1-hour deep dive training revealing how to start and grow a profitable YouTube channel this year. For a limited time, you can get access to this on-demand class entirely for free, where you will learn the 3 biggest mistakes that people make when starting a YouTube channel, the new rules and changes that have been happening on YouTube and how you can use them to create an unfair advantage, and the exact strategy we use at Think Media to generate over 350,000 organic views every single day. The data is clear. 70% of viewers claim that YouTube makes them more aware of new brands. So don't wait any longer to start growing your brand and business with YouTube. Just go to thinkmasterclass.com to get access to this no fluff, highly tactical, free on-demand training. That's thinkmasterclass.com. I'm curious, you've been touching on some of these income streams. You just met with your accountant recently. You said you have like 14 income streams. So if you were to break down a pie chart and even where this creator career is being funded, how does it all break down?
So I'm the money guy.
That's why so I'm going to look this way.
That's why Natalie immediately whipped her head around to look at me on that one. So breaking it down, obviously, as you know, it looks very different every month, because we'll have sometimes, like we just finished a group trip. So obviously that's kind of an outlier income that we'll see for this month, but won't be there next month. But in general, I would say AdSense between our YouTube and our website probably comes out to about probably in the 35 to 40% income range. And we're, again, depending on the month, matched pretty evenly with that with brand deals. So that's probably 70 to 80% of the income comes from AdSense and brand deals. And then from there, we've seen a huge growth though in the last year and a half or so from affiliate income. So it's probably another 10% off of affiliate income, I would guess. And then we also have our Patreon and, I'm trying to think of some of the other smaller income streams. But yeah, Patreon's another one that kind of comes in. It's probably in that. It's probably in the 5% range, 5 to 7% range, which that brings us into the 90 range. And then there's some kind of odds and ends, probably things that come in here and there. But the large majority is brand deals and AdSense, and they're pretty evenly matched depending on the month for sure.
And one of the reasons we were talking about, like, your accountant was like, you have 14 streams, is oftentimes you might have 7 of those are different affiliate programs.
Yes.
What are some of the biggest ones that are relevant for travel for you?
So for us, our biggest affiliate is
like experiences.
Experiences.
Get Your Guide, Viator.
Yeah, those are probably the 2 biggest.
These are websites. Getyourguide.com.
Yep.
Getyourguide.com.
Viator.com.
Yep.
Sign up as an affiliate.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. We sign up into their affiliate program. We're able to meet some of them in person and sign up that way through a travel conference we were at with the Get Your Guide team. But yeah, sign up for that. And we truly use those platforms to book experiences when we're traveling.
Yeah, just for ourselves.
So anytime we're traveling, our videos are our vlog style, one day in or weekend in. So anytime we're experiencing something, we put the links for those experiences down in the description, and they're, affiliate links with either Get Your Guide or Viator. And we also work with Stay 22, which is another affiliate program that's all properties for hotels. And it's great because they are able to put all of the affiliates of Expedia, Booking, VRBO all under one umbrella rather than having to have all these different ones.
Yeah.
It's without going too deep in the weeds, because I'm a fan of it. It's great for anybody out there listening that wants to get into that affiliate space with properties. Stay 22 has been.
And also travel payouts is another good one too. Yes. That's kind of like an umbrella with a bunch of companies underneath it.
Yeah. Yeah. So but all still affiliate at the end of the day, like you said. But yeah, those are our biggest ones probably.
So if we're talking about your content, let me know if this is an accurate observation from me. It appears that you focus more on quality than quantity. Is that true?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah, we hope so.
I hope it's quality. I don't know. But.
Well, we know we don't have the quantity, so we're hoping that the quality is at least.
I know that's right. It's subjective, but yeah.
And some of that, obviously, when we came into this, our goal was to post 1 video a week, but that was also traveling to all 50 states in that first year. Also working 20 plus hours a week.
Spoiler alert, it didn't happen. Yeah.
We survived. We survived for 4 months getting a video out every week. And then it slowly kind of back down to maybe like average every 10 days. And now we'll go through seasons. Like our goal is still always to get a video out every week, but like we just finished a group trip in Ireland. Like we're engaged from sun up to sundown, and Natalie does all of our editing. Yeah. So we're engaged with people, entertaining, hanging out with people, making connection, building the community. So there was no time for video editing or anything. So we were able to get one video out in the middle of that week that we kind of finished literally in our hotel in Ireland, uploaded it, and it went live. And then we've now had a gap we have a video going live like this
Thursday,
week. But we've had a gap in content because it's the two of us, and we have a couple people on the team, but not for editing or anything. And I think
too, just having that community that understands you. We have an email list that a lot of people read. Same thing with our Patreon. Trying to update people and let them know like what is actually happening in your life, so you don't fall off the face of the earth. And even like with the community, YouTube community, posting on there and just making sure you're keeping people updated and letting them know.
YouTube community tab.
Yeah, the community tab. Like, hey, I'm so sorry. This is happening. Or we did a group trip and show photos of, why the video's late.
Yeah, exactly. Just communicating with your people, like why. You still have your people that, we got a message literally on the way here on Facebook that all it said was, are you guys still posting on YouTube? It's like, make us feel like more of a failure. Why don't you?
So funny. I guess the reason I ask that question though is also it appears you're not pressured to rush out content, but that you put a little bit more effort into it. And from my observation, it appears that you're thoughtful about your branding, that I think a takeaway could be at some point, I was just on hanging out with Donald Miller. He wrote a book called How to Grow Your Small Business. And one of the big pivot points in his growth curve was a mentor said, Donald, it's time for you to professionalize your small business. Like there's something about going from where you're just kind of maybe doing something as a hobby to where if you start thinking about, no, this is a business, this is a real brand. And I mean, this is my observation and a compliment that you're thinking about your website. You said you're building an email list, but it feels like you're crafting your videos and that you're taking your brand seriously and that you're putting quality into it, which it's not that, quality can be so subjective, but there are some people that have, as long as you've been on YouTube, they've posted a couple thousand videos.
Oh, for sure.
But maybe they just go live and walk through wherever they are in Ireland, which could be valuable. And by all means, what's wild is you're like, well, that actually did very well. And that would have been a lot easier than all the editing.
100%.
But also sometimes maybe they're grinding out with, if you will, lower effort content, but kind of stagnating because of it. So that's what been your intentionality with actually building a strong brand and professionalizing your creator career?
Well, I appreciate you saying all of those things. That's really nice. I think we were intentional at the beginning that we wanted to make it feel like it was like a TV show a little bit. Yeah. We do have an intro. We have a teaser. And I know some people don't like those things, but a lot of our community is liking it. We do have a blooper reel at the end. And
that we've, earlier on, we were like, do we do the blooper reel? Because, obviously it can hurt retention because you got this, minute or whatever bloopers and maybe people are checking out before then. And we didn't do it on a couple of videos and got,
so
a dozen comments
and they were like,
oh, we missed the bloopers. And we're like,
okay.
Comes back to the community. It's
community is greater than just over optimization.
Yes,
it is.
Exactly.
And we want to do what they want to watch and see. And I don't know, I think we're also perfectionists a little bit. And I have to work on that where I'd rather I need to get a video out this week. It could take 2 weeks. But
we regularly have to tell ourselves, and I mean this in the best ways, but it's just a vlog. It's just a vlog, like, because we can get down into the details of wanting every little thing. Like, he wanted this great graphic for this thing, and we're envious of those that have so many great graphics in their videos, or these cinematic shots. And Natalie's like, we're not shooting the next Scorsese film. Like, this is a travel vlog,
and as long as we're helping people travel better, that is our main goal.
It needs to look real.
Back to your why, yeah,
and it needs to look real. But back to your talking about our intentionality of branding, some of that I feel like comes from just our extreme naive optimism early on. I look back and I'm like, why in the world did we think this would work? Like, we had no experience in it. All we knew is that we enjoyed travel and wanted to document it. And we wanted it. When we coming from the world we were in, we knew that branding was important. I come from a music background. We both do. So there was there's a lot of it, I think, that just comes down to that naive optimism.
Yes. And what has been the intentionality you have a website. Your website seems very thought through. It's organized. You have resources, affiliate links, all that stuff. And then you've also built an email list. Why and how did you do that?
I appreciate that. I built that website, which needs to be redone, but we built it in 2020 when I got furloughed for 12 weeks. I learned how to build a website. And I think another thing that people need to do is look at your favorite creators. Like, who do you want to be like? We did it on YouTube when we first started. We picked our 10 favorites that we wanted our channel to look like and picked our favorite things from each of those channels. Same thing with the website. We looked at people's websites and said, oh, I love this. I love what they're doing here. Let's change this. Let's do this. And I think learning that way and implementing it and putting your own spin on it is like really important.
Yeah, I think there's so much emphasis on being original, and you should be original, obviously, but there's nothing wrong with also taking inspiration from people that are already doing
and
it
seeing
on a higher level than you are. So yeah, we did exactly that. But the website, Natalie, like she said, built from the ground up, had no website experience at all. We've literally been talking in the last month of like, okay, we need to hire a web design person because we need to do this whole thing, but keeping for every YouTube video that we put out, there's a coinciding blog that goes with it that will typically
that has even more resources and information.
We'll go into more detail, and that's been an even slower, steady growth. But we're finally, with some of the recent Google algorithm changes, we've actually seen a good chunk of boost in our traffic on our website, which has been great. But yeah, that's been a labor of love because it was one that didn't pay anything for a long time.
And Matt spent a lot of time on that one. And same thing with the newsletter too. Matt has been doing a weekly update for 177 weeks straight.
179 now.
Oh yeah.
Every week. At this point, it's like we just actually did a Patreon live stream last night. We do a monthly live stream with our patrons only. And I was like talking about the update. Like, I don't know if you guys read it. And they're like, oh, we love reading it. I was like,
read it.
Well, thank God. Cause at this point I was just doing it out of pride that I didn't want to miss a week now. You know, 179 weeks in. I don't know if anybody reads it.
You can't break the streak.
No, I can't break the streak. You know, exactly. So I couldn't break the streak. Yeah, I can see how many times it was opened, you know, an email was like, who's actually reading it though? So it was good getting that encouragement of, okay, there are people that read these things. But yeah, 179 weeks of weekly updates, some more exciting than others, but nonetheless, 179 weeks of it.
Man, I love that. And let's talk a little bit about your gear. And of course, the disclaimers, you already mentioned it. You started with the point shoot camera. People can start with their phones. You can start with what you have, but you've leveled up over the years and you take your craft very seriously. So what is like the full stack of gear for making a professional travel vlog that you make now?
Matt is the gearhead, so I'm going to let him talk all of the things.
So yeah, started point and shoot and that whole thing kind of built up over the years. Now, where we're at now, Natalie is on a Sony ZV-E1, which is, you know, Sony's like vlogging style camera, has the A7S3 sensor in it. So it's the exact same.
It's a full frame camera.
Full frame with this S3
smaller
sensor, but it's a smaller body. You do sacrifice some of the features, like there is no viewfinder in it. So in brighter lights, you know, it can be tougher, but she never used a viewfinder before, so she was used to it. There's, you know, single card slot, that kind of stuff. But so that's our main vlogging camera. On that camera is a 20-70 f4 Sony lens, toyed with the 16-35, but for two people in the frame, you get on the edges and it starts making you look really wide. And we weren't a fan of the distortion. It wasn't flattering for us. So
it was scary.
So we ended up getting the 20-70. So that's our main vlogging rig, but
and
also
then microphone.
Oh, and then the microphone is just at the most basic. It's the Rode Video Micro. No power, don't have to worry about forgetting to turn it on and any of that stuff.
We toyed with a couple other ones, but we came back to this one and really liked it.
We actually did toy with some of the newer Sony mics that, you know, no cables. They just go right into the hot shoe digital audio in. But we just, at the end of the day, we just like the simplicity of this. And honestly, we A/B'd some of the audio from some of those Sonys and honestly preferred the micro over it. It had a little more fullness in it. But then also for our second shooting camera, which we're getting to where we're shooting more balance between the two cameras, I'm on a A7 C2, which is the A7 IV full frame sensor, and that one just a smaller body, again, easier for travel. And I'm on a 24-70 Sigma 2.8 lens on that. Same microphone, the Rode Video Micro.
And then of course we have GoPros, Insta360s.
We got the Insta360 X 2 or 3. I can't even remember now. Got the GoPros, and then we have the 2 different drones. Have the Mavic Air 2 drone, and then the DJI Mini 4 Pro as well. So
Matt could literally talk gear for hours. So.
Yes.
I'll try to get through it so I don't bore anyone out there that's like, oh, let me skip through this part of the gear, you know?
Yeah. No, I love that breakdown. Have you heard about the Sigma 28 to 45 1.8?
No.
That's dropped.
A Zoom 1.8.
It's a Zoom fixed 1.8. It's like the
Wow.
first of its kind for full frame, I believe, right, Kyle? I think it's a full frame camera. It's not quite out yet.
Wow.
Yeah, full frame 1.8 fixed, and what a focal range. Probably the world's brightest full frame zoom is what they're calling it.
Oh yeah, you don't see Zooms really below 2.8 ever. I mean, maybe if you're spending a fortune on them, but
Usually zooms. Yeah, it's all primes if you're going to go lower.
If you're going lower, it's primed almost always. That's interesting.
Something to check out. But it's cool to hear the stack of gear, and encouraging to listeners that, one of the fun things about this career is if you're into it, that you can upgrade as you go, level up as you go, but always start with what you have, and upgrade over time. Well, if you were to break down some tips as we land the plane in regards to what you've seen actually have led to growth and how you think about videos, YouTube tips, titles, thumbnails, or just your approach for travel vlogs in particular, what are some of your tips?
I think being subjective is a big one.
Yep.
Putting your lens away and being like, okay, if I do not know, us, would I find this interesting? Would I find it helpful? Would that be funny or would that be entertaining? Kind of, you have to put the lens away of like, this is not our home videos, even though we love watching them. It's like, okay, you have to put that different lens on. Same thing with thumbnails. I'm sure you have to look at it super subjectively.
Yeah, you absolutely have to be subjective, especially in the editing room. Like there's so many times that Natalie, I'll hear her just in the other room. If I'm working in the other room, what she said is she's like, oh my gosh, I wish we would just shut up talking already. Cause we, on a food tour and we ended up talking a lot about some food or whatever. But from the editing perspective, for sure, you have to be subjective on that. Next would be remembering your audience, like knowing who your audience is, and realizing like, while we do have other travel content creators and couples that follow our channel, the large majority is your everyday person with a full-time job that loves to travel. They refer to it as the armchair travel. The people that like to get to travel the world with you while they're sitting in their living room, or they're getting to do weekend trips. And we get lots of those all the time of people like, oh my gosh, your 48 hours in this city, whatever, helped us out so much, because most people only have, a short amount of time, especially a lot of times Americans going to Europe, sometimes they only get maybe a couple of those trips in their lifetime. So it's like they're going to spend 48 to 72 hours in every city, maybe at that. So bringing that, we land in the infotainment side of the travel world, where it's like we're not all informational, we're not all entertainment. We try to be entertaining within bringing information and bringing value to the consumer.
Yeah, and showing people what they can expect when they go to a certain place. I think also call to actions are really important. We've seen a lot of that, putting graphics up on the screen. So with our blog, a lot of people didn't realize that we had a blog or a website with more details and information. So actually saying that to people in every video now.
Yeah,
we also put graphics.
For the first year and a half, we didn't, because we were like, oh, they'll just go into the description. Well, most people never open the description and see anything. We were just kind of counting on it growing its own legs and turning into something, and it's just not going to happen.
And same thing with like, if we do an experience, I'll put links down in the description, but it'll actually be a graphic or call to action of saying, please like this video, hit subscribe, because some people just don't know still to this day, so just always remembering that and just reminding people constantly for every video.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I have one final question for you, but if people want to check out what you're doing, give a full shout out, and just really want to acknowledge your generosity with your knowledge that you're sharing on YouTube, but also for coming on and adding so much value to our community. Really respect you guys and appreciate everything you're doing. It's super inspiring.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Thank
you
you
so much for having us. We're literally open books.
Yep.
If anybody wants to find us on Instagram, that's the best place to like DM us if you have any questions. We'd love to help.
Yeah, and it's just Adventures of Matt and Nat there. But yeah, we're like Natalie said, we're an open book. We're not gatekeeping anything.
No. If we can do it, you can do it. Okay.
YouTube and content creation kind of changed our lives, and we're getting to live what we thought only happened to other people. 3 to 5 years ago. So we're all about helping other people make that happen for themselves.
Yeah. And I got one question for you, but I do want to encourage people to like, rate, and subscribe. If you got value out of this, share it out. Check out show notes in the description and Adventures with Matt and Nat on YouTube as well. All their links will be down there. But the final question is, if you were starting from scratch today, what mindset and what would your kind of outlook be? It's a new landscape, as always. I mean, people are always looking back. Oh, I wish I would have started in 2020. I wish I would have started in 2022. But if you were starting right now, a friend was sitting down from you and they're just having self-doubts, what would you say to them? Maybe an answer from both of you.
I would say start now. Mm-hmm. Also surround yourself with other people in the space. The travel community is honestly one of the best communities that we've ever been a part of. We've been in the music industry, and unfortunately, we can't say the same thing with that. But the travel community truly is, they're just such wonderful people and so helpful. So I think supporting yourself, reaching out to us on Instagram, that kind of thing. But I think also too, being realistic with your goals, it's just going to take time and understanding that, and just keep grinding, keep getting better with every single vlog, every single piece of content. Just learn from that and just continue to grow. And you can do it.
Yeah, I tend to be the realist in our relationship. Natalie's the big dreamer, so she pulls me out of my realistic world that I'm in. But from the realist side, I always tell creators, whatever space you're in, never assume you're the exception to the rule. So if you find research and it says, okay, it's going to take 36 uploads or whatever it is before you're going to get monetized. I don't know what the numbers are now. You have to figure that out. But whatever that number is, just expect to fall in that rule rather than thinking, oh yeah, but that's for other people. I'm better than that.
But see, that's me. I'm like, we can do that better. So
thankfully we did do it better, but we went in prepared with very realistic expectations. Yeah. And also I would say, it's like I said, I kind of mentioned to it earlier, like it's kind of tough to dip your toe in and expect success. And I know that's hard when you have other jobs and everything, but it's, if you want a life that's worth living and it's a dream, it's going to take a lot of sacrifice. Mm-hmm. We've definitely experienced that on our side. It takes tons of time, tons of sacrifice, but I don't say that to deter someone, more to encourage them to know what they're in for and just go in it guns a-blazing, ready to go for this thing. Yeah.
You got this.
If you enjoyed this podcast and are ready for some deep dive YouTube strategy, just go to thinkmasterclass.com to get access to my 1-hour on-demand YouTube strategy class. You'll be looking over my shoulder as I share my best tips, and you can watch it on demand right now at thinkmasterclass.com.